Right, so today we're looking at part 6 of 34-year-old Mike and his 24-year-old Colombian fiancée, Ximena. During his first visit, Ximena began doubting the relationship as Mike's gross habits from farting in bed, burping at the dinner table and leaving his stinky clothes all over the place took their toll on her. However, at the end of the 2 weeks, Mike proposed and Ximena said yes, so he returned to the US to sort out the visas for Ximena and her 2 kids. 2 months later, with the wedding just weeks away, he returned to Colombia, and things have been going even worse for him this time around, with the pair now constantly arguing. Ximena's been telling him that she finds him gross, that she doesn't want to sleep in the same room as him, and that she doesn't want to marry him unless he pays for her to get a boob job and liposuction. Upset at how he's been treated, Mike threatened to end the relationship during their last date, but Ximena told him to stay a few more days to see if they could work out their issues. Today, however, Ximena seems more doubtful than ever that she wants to marry Mike. She's beginning to realise that she only agreed to it because Mike wanted to get married quickly, and in reality, she isn't ready for the commitment. With where she is in her life and how things have been going since he first arrived in Colombia, it's becoming increasingly apparent to her that it's both the wrong person and at the wrong time.
Para mí es difícil tener una persona para toda la vida porque yo estoy muy joven y yo lo único que quiero es divertirme, gozar. Tal vez en el futuro sacrifique mi libertad, pero me pongo a pensar en todas estas cosas que Mai ha hecho que a mí me fastidia y no sé si Mai es el hombre para mí.
Given Mike's a decade older, it's easy to forget that Ximena's only 24 years old, and although plenty of people are ready to get married at that age, it's not surprising that she isn't. It's also good that she's acknowledging the fact that her doubts aren't all about Mike and his gross habits, because it has felt like even though Mike can be repulsive, he sometimes has been treated disproportionately harshly for it, and it was becoming clear to us and him that there was more to it than that. Still, for now, the relationship continues, so after arriving at the bar and playing some pool together, they sit down for a drink to talk things through.
Isn't it nice when we have fun together, just us?
No, porque para mí primero están mis hijos que tú y divertirme con mis hijos es lo mejor que puede haber.
See, this is kind of what I mean. The fact that she's repulsed by both Mike and the relationship combined to make her act a little bit unfairly towards the guy. Like, on Mike's first night in Colombia the second time round, they did go out clubbing together. I know the drinking laws are considered more lenient in Colombia, but I'm guessing Juan David and Harold Stephen weren't out partying with her, so she obviously can have fun without them. It's just such an unnecessarily serious response, and as a result, Mike wants to know what he did to deserve it. He says he's sick of walking on eggshells, having to read between the lines, and being treated so coldly. So he says that given she's saying she doesn't love him and needs her space, that he can't help feeling that everything changed for her after he stopped agreeing to pay for everything.
No puedo dejar de pensar que tus sentimientos cambiaron cuando dejé de decir que sí a comprar todo.
Tú tienes cosas que a mí no me gustan. Es eso que a mí me cambió totalmente los sentimientos. Entonces, y aún me pagas el arriendo, entonces no es por eso.
Yeah, she's not wrong there. She was getting frosty with him after his gross habits became apparent, and that was a good 3 months before he said he wasn't going to pay for her cosmetic procedures. Although, to be fair, Mike isn't entirely wrong to suggest it, because when he said he wouldn't pay for them, that's when she went from being cold to telling him to not even come and visit her.
Esto me ofende mucho, me da mucha rabia porque es una persona que lo quiere a uno no le dice esto, me está humillando, me está sacando las cosas en caro. Si May piensa que yo solamente lo tomo a él es por el dinero, realmente nunca me conoció. De verdad que no.
You know, I'm kind of lost here. She sounds sincere, but the more I think about it, the more confused I get. Like, if she wasn't with him for the money, what was she with him for? It's another one where we started off the story at the point in the relationship where things started to go south, so we don't know what their first year of talking online was like. But was he really sweeping her off her feet with charm? Was she really looking at these photos of him and thinking, yeah, that guy is definitely my type? I do want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I just can't seem to logically justify it. Either way, Ximena doesn't even want to bother trying. For her, the accusation was enough to tip her over the edge.
De ahora en adelante seremos amigos, tú no me mandas dinero, no me ayudas con nada y yo pago mis cosas. Tú no serás más mi novio ni yo seré tu novia, seremos amigos si tú quieres.
Okay, anything I paid for, I want to take back with me to New York.
Si tú te quieres llevar todo lo que es mi casa, llévatelo todo. No lo necesito.
Damn, you know what? Even if she was just with him for the money, I rate her highly for not allowing him to hold it over her head like that. I don't think he expected her response either. I mean, it was a desperate move from him, but I think he was expecting Ximena to be even more desperate to keep him around for financial reasons. I guess we've finally just hit the inevitable point where money isn't enough for her to want to stay with this weirdo anymore. In fact, to be honest, I think she would have been happy if they had broken up last night. I think she just told him to stay and then dumped him the day after so that it could be her decision.
You know what? I'm done. I don't know what I did wrong. Everything she said on the first trip, I tried to fix myself. Ooh.
What an absolute child. Who runs off into the night like this after an argument? Also, what must everyone else be thinking? Imagine walking down the street at night and seeing a short bald man running towards you doing parkour with tears down his face. It would be the most confusing and terrifying thing ever. It would look like one of Dobby's estranged uncles had just run away from their wizarding family's home. Well, after blowing off some steam, I'm guessing by punching a few walls and yelling out some misogynistic slurs, Mike returns to tell Ximena that he's confused. She says that she doesn't want to hurt him, but that it's clear to her that she doesn't want to be with him, and so she doesn't want him staying at the house anymore. He begs her to let him stay one more night, and she even offers to pay for a hotel room after saying no, but eventually she caves. The following morning, Mike starts being very overdramatic, but Ximena just doesn't care. He tells her that he's off to pack, hoping that she'll say not to, but she just says okay and hands him back the engagement rings. He tells her to hold on to them until they can work out their differences, but she just says no, the relationship's over, and he doesn't take that well.
You do realize that you're losing the best thing that you could have ever had.
Lo mejor que pude haber tenido son mis hijos. Del resto no me importa.
Throughout this 1.5-year relationship, I was able to keep you secure in a house so you weren't out on the street with you and your children.
Que porque tú me pagaste arriendo y me colaboraste no quería decir que yo estaba en la calle tampoco. Puedo trabajar de modelo, no te preocupes.
Where does this slimy little goblin get the confidence to say that he's the best thing she could have ever had? I mean, she's not exactly the perfect catch herself, but what does he think he has to offer? You know in those games where you start off with a character and you get given a limited number of stat points to allocate to different traits, like looks, physique, charm, personality, and all of that? It's like he's one of those, but they forgot to give him his starting allocation. Also, as if he wasn't undesirable enough as it was, he's now adding controlling to his long list of red flags and basically admitting that he was aware that he was buying her love. And anyway, what is he trying to gain from all of this? Does he genuinely want her to turn around and be like, yeah, you're right, I don't like anything about you, but I need you to survive financially, so let's get back together? Why would he want a relationship like that? Maybe it's just that given she's hurt him, he's trying to hurt her in return by taking away the only thing he can, which is the money. But it just makes him seem even more pathetic and powerless now that she just doesn't seem to care.
What kind of modeling job are you going to work for? Are you going to go back to that adult internet job?
¿Y qué pasa? Me conociste trabajando.
Yeah, he deserved that. How did he think he was going to get away with shaming her for being a cam girl without her pointing out the fact that he was the one consuming her content? The job is literally only there in the first place because of the demand he's contributing towards. It'd be like someone coming at me for making videos on reality TV, having binged the entire 90-day playlist. It's just pure hypocrisy.
This only reinforces the fact that you were using me for money. Because right now, you're cold and calculated.
Quiero que te vayas hoy, no me lo aguanto más. La verdad me mamé, qué pereza, parce.
No.
Sí.
No.
Sí.
I have proof that I pay the rent in this house, so I'm not leaving.
No más, no más, no más.
How does this guy not realize how weird it is to have someone in tears telling you to get out of their home and telling them no and storming in anyway? This isn't the first time he's shown this weird kind of behavior either. Remember at the start of this visit, Ximena told him not to come, but he came anyway. That was a red flag that we spoke about because it indicated the potential for something exactly like this to happen. The level of entitlement is actually scary.
Te vas hoy. Te vas.
Makes me feel like that nothing else mattered to her besides the money that I was sending her. For all I care, she can be a freaking adult entertainment model for all I care. She's a mean, evil, cold.
It's surprising that he's making it out as if he's only just realized that this was a transactional relationship. Like, what else did he think was going on here? And he's slandering her pretty heavily there, but he's not exactly showing himself to be morally superior with this behavior, is he? Well, after taking a minute to cool off, he goes back downstairs to find Ximena sitting outside with her sister. He starts telling her that because he leaves tomorrow, he wants to be able to stay the night again so that he can say goodbye to her and the kids in the morning. She tells him no, but he replies saying that he doesn't care and that he's staying. Ximena reminds him that the relationship is over and tells him that he needs to leave, but he says that she's just saying that because she's angry and storms off upstairs again.
Voy a dormir.
No vas a dormir. No. Mike, no quiero que te quedes acá. Vete.
No.
Vete. No te vas a quedar acá. De verdad que no.
No.
I wonder what it would take for producers to actually step in this kind of situation. I mean, I know it's rare for them to get involved, but this is literally criminal trespass. Like, him paying the rent is irrelevant. Whether the money comes from your boss, or your employer, or your sugar daddy, or your parents, it doesn't give them the right to enter your property and just refuse to leave. And it doesn't help that the whole thing's exacerbated by the fact that they don't even understand each other until it's translated back to them.
Estupidez, por Dios.
Tú estúpida.
¿Me dijo estúpida?
Tú
¡Te vas ahora! ¡No más!
No.
Me harté, parce.
Usted le dijo estúpida y ella dijo qué estupidez contigo.
Tú.
Es diferente.
Mi estúpida.
No.
Estúpido, sí.
Mira.
Oh.
What a divvy. You know, at the start of all of this, I actually felt bad for Mike. He's not particularly good looking. He was clearly very lonely before he met Ximena, and he kind of had that endearingly awkward personality. And then, although he is gross and there were a few potential red flags early on, that doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad person. So I felt quite bad for him when he was being treated so coldly by Ximena. But now, his true colours have shined through and shown that he's not the nice guy he makes himself out to be. Not that it justifies her behaviour or means that he deserved every part of the way he was treated, but any sympathy I had for him is just completely gone.
Me da mucha tristeza porque pues lo he visto como alguien más de la familia. Llegó en la vida ella en el mejor momento porque llegó lo de la cuarentena y tuvimos el respaldo de Mike, como tanto ella lo tuvo como nosotros también, porque pues gracias a ella nosotros también comimos. Pero si la relación está mal, lo mejor es uno terminar, porque lo que empieza mal, mal termina.
I didn't realise just how poor her family actually were before this, you know. I thought he just gave her freedom to quit her job and bought her a few nice things. I didn't realise that he was literally putting food on the table for her parents and her siblings, as well as her and her kids. I mean, if we're going to criticise Ximena for exploiting Mike's loneliness, we definitely have to criticise Mike for exploiting her financial situation, because he definitely knew about all of this, didn't he? This also confirms exactly what we suspected in the last video, that there was a reason she was staying with him, even after appearing completely sick of him. It wasn't because it was still worth it for her, it was because there was so much on the line for herself and her family. Thankfully, for now at least, he's agreed to leave them alone, so he packs up all of his things and says goodbye for the night.
Ximena.
Chao.
Although Ximena said that he could come back to say goodbye to everyone the following day, he calls her and she says that she doesn't want him to come over. She says that given the relationship is over and given how he behaved the night before, she doesn't ever want to see him again. So he says a brief goodbye to a rather indifferent Juan David and Harold Stephen over the phone, and with that, his time in Colombia comes to a cold and lonely end.
I deserve better than just saying goodbye over the phone. It really feels like crap, but I'm really just ready to just go home and just move on with my life.
You know, I actually feel worse for the kids than I do Ximena or Mike. They didn't really seem too upset by the idea of Mike leaving, but he's been and gone before, and they're too young to really understand what was going on, so I don't think they're giving much thought to it. But still, it's sad that they've had another father figure come into their lives and leave shortly after again. And also, given what Ximena's mum said life was like before Mike came along, this could also have a pretty big impact on their living conditions. Although, it seems like for Mike at least, things might not be over for certain just yet.
Once I get back home, I just need to just think and figure out what's going on, but definitely not going to be the first person to reach out. If she wants to reach out and apologize, she can. I'm done with Ximena taking advantage of me, so I'll just focus on me and do what's best for me.
I hate it when people talk like this after a relationship. Big Ed does it all the time. They always find a way to put the failure of the relationship entirely on their partner, and they never take any responsibility for their part to play in its downfall, or hold themselves accountable for their shameful behaviour at the end of it. Unsurprisingly, despite making it out as if Ximena was the only person in the wrong, he ends up calling her shortly after. He tells her straight up that he wants to continue paying her rent, and that he wants to return to Colombia so they can sort out their problems and go through with the marriage. When she replies saying that she just wants to be friends, he manipulatively reminds her how hard her life was in Colombia before he met her. And he also tries to get her to imagine how good life would be if they had a house in New York and a house in Colombia. In response, she says that he's trying to buy her love, something he criticised her for in their final argument. When he says he's sorry and that he said that out of anger and that he still loves her, she says, "I don't know what to say." And that's how it ends. The next time we see them is 6 months after this point, when they reunite for the season finale tell-all. So if you want to find out whether he ever returned to Colombia, whether she ever took him back, or whether the tension remained and it all kicked off in a fiery resumption of their feud, make sure you're subscribed down below so you can catch the next video as soon as I upload it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.